I wanted to talk about open mics a little bit. I forgot to mention them in my last video. First of all, you're only as good as your last open mic. You know, as a comedian, speaking from experience, if you stop showing up at open mics for a period of time, when you come back, it's like you're a new comic again. It's like you don't even exist. There's no pecking order. There's no seniority. You know, if you don't come around, let's say for a couple of years, most of the comedians who you knew, they've either gone on to being booked comedians or they have just dropped out of the comedy scene altogether. And the same thing applies if you're an open mic comic and then you go to another city where nobody knows you, unless you happen to have a social media following, which is something I would like to do if I could afford it. I would like to just live out of motels and travel from city to city and film myself at open mics. To me, that would be an ideal existence. But while we're on the subject of open mics, there's all different types of open mics. There's smaller, not too many, but there's small ones. Sometimes if you're lucky, you have a small one, there's only maybe 10 to 12 comics. Highly unusual. Most open mics, you're gonna have at least a minimum of 20 comics. Sometimes some are even 30. You know, most of them are a sign-up sheet, but a lot of them have this bucket lottery system where you have to put your name and you have to buy a drink. And even if you buy the drink, sometimes you don't even get to go on stage. Then you got your virtual open mics too. Now, they can be just as obnoxious as the live open mics. The MCs, look, I've known all kinds of MCs, but a lot of them, they just get kind of swelled. Their heads get bigger than they need to be. They become like carnival announcers. They become people you can't even approach because they have people surrounding them like the paparazzi. They're the in-person. They're the person to go to. They have unlimited stage time. They give you the light. They decide when you get up on stage. They have a lot of power. A lot of them are book gigs, have, you know, are affiliated with the clubs. And it's just a way to move up from being an open mic comic to becoming a book comic. It's all part of the politics, the hierarchy of comedy. I'm just talking about the open mic comedy scene. You know, all comics, unless you're some kind of an Instagram, you know, overnight star, and you have like 1 million followers, most comics have to go to the ugly trenches of open mics. They can be fun, but for someone like me, I wasn't so young when I began comedy, okay? I just find it harder and harder to be around them anymore. I don't mind hanging out, laughing, joking around, interviewing with comedians. I just can't grind it there anymore. I just feel like I got left back in or you guys call it middle school now. I got left back in middle school and I'm around all the popular kids who are like 30 years younger than me. And I just can't do it anymore all the time. I'll show up once in a while, joke around, but I can't grind it there anymore. Anyway, I just wanted to talk about open mics. You know, this is comedy. It's comedy from my living room. We could talk about comedy. I don't always have to perform comedy. I'm probably not the most funniest comedian in the world anyway, but, you know, I'm hoping that this helps out somebody who might be starting out in comedy right now. So you know what to expect. Because in these comedy classes, they don't tell you about the politics of comedy. They don't tell you how people could be. They don't tell you how it's like going to these open mics. They don't tell you about the favoritism and the politics and about comics not supporting each other and how it being an ego contest and how people walk around arrogant. You know, just think about how people behaved in high school. Okay, people walking around like they're a king and queen on a throne. It's the same frickin' thing in comedy scene. It's juvenile. And they don't talk about that in the comedy classes. They just tell you, oh, keep going to open mics, keep promoting yourself, keep doing bringer shows, and then you'll be a book comic. They don't tell you that shit. You have to go through it. So I'm telling you what it's like. It's not a pleasant scene. You have to have a thick skin, and you're around a lot of egos because everybody's trying to be the funniest. All right? We'll be back with more material as it comes to me. Talk to you guys later.